Hello friends, this is Carrie and welcome back to I Like Reddit channel. I hope you all are staying safe and healthy. Today friends, we have two stories. They're actually pretty long, but they're out of the Entitled Parents subreddit. So sit back and grab some popcorn maybe and just listen to these two crazy stories about crazy entitled parents. Let's begin. Our first story is by Patricide First. Entitled Mom tries to derail a Medevac mission. This was originally posted on r/entitledpeople. So about 10 years ago, I was a corpsman in the US Navy, medical personnel for Navy and Marine Corps, stationed overseas in a tropical paradise. At the time, I was second most senior enlisted sailor in the department at a small forward deployed hospital. Part of my duties included being ready to medevac psych patients at a moment's notice. So I always had a medevac mission bag in my barracks room ready to go. Some of the details have been changed deliberately in order to protect the anonymity of my patient. Anyway, one day I was on liberty, not on duty, and I got one of those "you leave in 2 hours" phone calls, so off to the hospital I went, with my trusty bag on my back. It was there I was told how weird this medevac would be. I was flying commercially to the US with my patient instead of hopping on an Air Force flight. And their mother. Oh, and by the way, the mother just happens to be an entitled junior officer. Great. I get all my paperwork together, gather my party, patient and mother, and grab a duty driver to take us to the local civilian airport. Oh, and while we're all dressed in civilian attire, it is important to note that I am 100% on duty and acting officially in my capacity as a non-commissioned officer in the US Navy Hospital Corps. The mother, however, is 100% not on duty or acting in any official capacity. This becomes very important later. On the way there, the kid is really sweet, but is clearly recovering from his first psychotic break and has a lifetime of therapy, medication, and hospitalizations ahead. This kid has my sympathy, and besides, the kid is my patient. The mother, on the other hand, is clearly self-absorbed and is on her electronic devices or nagging the duty driver, who I know is an excellent defensive driver, or is in general complaining about anything she can. Whatever, I can tune her out and do my job. It wouldn't be the first or the last time in my career that I had to ignore a petulant junior officer just to get my job done. The trouble started almost immediately after checking into the airport. She turned to me, cleared her throat, and in a tone that suggested that she was in charge said, "You need to get my bag." Without hesitation, I replied, "No ma'am, our flight leaves in 20 minutes, and we're going to go to the gate now." With that, I turned and began to escort my patient to the security screening area. She stammered out something like, "Excuse me?" protest, but I didn't quite catch it because I genuinely didn't give a damn. My mission was to get a sick patient to a higher level of care, not playing enlisted butler to an entitled officer. That seemed to get her off my back, because we got to our layover destination without incident. We boarded our international flight, and the kid wanted the window seat and the mother wanted to sit beside the kid. Fine. I sit behind them and we take off. The flight is going smoothly. I give the kid their medication after the in-flight meal, and the kid and mother settle into a movie. It was when the stewardess was handing out booze that things really began to go sideways. The mother tried to give her very sick kid, who is on a topical antipsychotic medication, a Jack and Coke. Without hesitation, I reach forward between the seats and snatch it up. She turned to glare at me and chew me out, but I didn't even give her a chance. I cut her off with my super serious NCO tone and glare. I'm not ashamed to admit that I practiced it before my first deployment, and I state flatly, "Ma'am, not only is patient underage, but patient is very sick and on some pretty serious medication. If there's two things that just don't plain mix, it's alcohol and psychotropic medication. Respectfully, ma'am, I simply will not allow this. I appreciate your compliance." Her face twists in rage and confusion. I could tell that she has never been spoken to like this by a lowly enlisted person, and she was trying to figure out what to say to me. Finally, she said, "I didn't want to have to pull rank, but..." I again immediately cut her off. "Ma'am, this is my mission. It was explained to you that you are not in charge here, and the skipper is allowing you to tag along as a humane gesture. I am calling the shots here. This is your kid, and you want what's best for patient. I get it, but the best thing you can do right now is to let me do my job and get patient to the next treatment facility without incident. Our commanding officer placed me in charge, and if patient shows up at the next facility having drunk alcohol, it will be my head on the chopping block, not to mention that you're putting patient at risk. Your child could have a genuine medical emergency tens of thousands of feet in the air over open sea. So ma'am, if you pull something like this again, I will report you. Thank you for your compliance, ma'am. You see, Reddit, in the US military, positional authority is way more important than actual rank. This is why an E2 can and will prevent a 3-star general from entering a secure facility without proper credentials. It doesn't matter that the 3-star general is like God to the E2, because not even God gets access into the facility without proper military identification card, sir. This means that since the patient was released to my custody, and since the chain of command placed me in charge of this mission, my positional authority simply trumped her rank and even her status as the kid's parent, and I have the paperwork to prove it to any authority. Back to the flight. So after being told that she wasn't in charge, she scowled at me and told me that when we land, she was going to call the cops or something. I don't really care. As I lean back, I begin documenting the interaction for my own personal CYA. Anyway, we land and there aren't any cops called or anything, so whatever she said was just an empty threat. We're about to go through the US Customs when she insists that she goes through customs first, then her kid, then me. The Jack and Coke incident was still fresh in my mind. I'm convinced that she was trying to pull something shady, so I shut her down. I inform her that in order to maintain her kid's security and health, that I go through first, followed by her kid, then her. She protests, and the protests start to get us stared at. Somehow we made it through customs without her or her kid taking flight, or without any of us getting detained. Y'all, she whined and complained loudly the entire wait. I was seriously getting concerned that we were going to get detained. Nightmare's almost over. We get through customs and we head to get a rental car. All I have to do is get patient to the next medical facility, give a report, turn over effects, and I'm done. I get the car, load everyone up, and the mother exclaims, "I left my purse!" She begins to half flail and freaking out and jumps out of the car. She tells me that I have to wait until she returns. Now, I'm not some kind of special forces ninja or any nonsense, but I've been deployed and I've seen real people get seriously hurt and had to treat those injuries. I've been in real danger and would eventually develop PTSD from those experiences. It was then and there that I decided that playtime with this delusional officer was over. I turn and look at her through an open car door, and this time I don't mask my frustration with this woman. Ma'am, I've been on duty and awake for nearly 21 hours. We have a 45-minute drive ahead of us, and then I have to give a report, turn over medication, medical records, and personal effects. I have at least 2 more hours of work ahead of me before I get some sleep and fly back tonight. Ma'am, there is no way you are holding this up any more time than you already have. This vehicle leaves in 10 minutes with or without you. She stammers out that she will call the police on me for kidnapping her kid. I tell her go right ahead, but that won't change the fact that now you have 9 minutes and 45 seconds to get your purse. At this point, even her kid chimes in and says, "Mom, stop trying to control everything. This guy has been taking great care of me, and I'm really tired. Can't we just hurry up?" With that, she storms off and miraculously makes it back with her purse in time. I take them to the hospital, with her silently fuming and furiously tapping away on her phone non-stop. Turnover gets done and I bid the kid goodbye, and the mother ignores me as I leave. Sweet, sweet sleep. Oh, but it's far from over. Fast forward a week, I find out that the mother filed a formal complaint against me. To avoid another long story, I'll tell you that the executive officer shredded it up and chewed her out once I explained everything that had happened and backed it up with documentation. I don't know what happened to her or her kid, but I never saw them again. If you're enjoying the content so far, please put a heart emoji in the comment section down below. Our final story is by Brigadoon Rose Fall. It's basically my wedding. So this story is about my sister-in-law's mother, and this happened over 8 years ago. My sister-in-law brought it up during our family Zoom call, to which one of my nieces immediately asked me to write it up here. It's taken a few days since the call to get it all typed up. I ended up with a monster wall of text, but I tried to cut a lot of it out too. There is a too long didn't read at the bottom. I hope you all enjoyed this piece of family history. The cast will be myself, Alice, sister-in-law, Helen, Alice's mother, REM, Ron, Alice's husband and my brother, Fred and George, 2 of my other brothers. To set the scene, the wedding was set to happen on a farm run by my Aunt Rose. This farm is set up to be photo ready for the wedding and events that people wish to have there. It comes with a hefty price tag for the rental, and for her gift to Ron and Alice, Aunt Rose donated the venue and the on-site lodge for all the guests. Her children donated their time to clean and set up the venue. Her husband donated his cooking ability. Other family members provided ingredients, and there wasn't a whole lot for the bride and groom to actually pay for. The wedding dress was made by Alice, her sister, and 2 of her cousins. The most expensive thing the 2 purchased were the rings. Most people would be happy to spend so little on their wedding, but the mother of the bride was the problem from day one. She had to have a say in everything. No one listened. It wasn't her day, it was Alice's day. She got progressively angrier as the family went with Alice's choices and not hers. Alice got to design everything, including the wedding cake, and due to her allergies, she did not want coconut on her cake. Pretty straightforward request, right? She had plans for a beautiful naked cake decorated with berries and a natural-based look. The family adored Alice, but it was very clear that without needing to say anything, we all tuned out Helen and her terrible demands. Alice had ordered sunflowers and an array of orange and yellow roses and other flowers. They arrived before the rehearsal dinner and were put in a walk-in refrigerator to keep them looking good for the following day. Helen got very emotional when she saw the flowers that night. Fred said that he had a bad feeling in his gut when he saw Helen go off before the rehearsal started. He didn't get to stop or catch her, but she had gone into the kitchen and snapped the heads off of all the sunflowers. Helen didn't want sunflowers in her daughter's wedding photos. To not stress the bride or groom, Fred put a text out with the family who had supplied the flowers. He explained that he had left the rehearsal about 6 minutes after Helen had and found the sunflowers all beheaded. The family members agreed to replace all of them and come over extra early before the wedding with the needed flowers. She had also requested that he save the sunflower heads and they could do something with the beheaded ones on the dinner table for the reception. Crisis 1 averted. However, while Fred was dealing with the sunflowers, I was dealing with another crisis altogether. Helen was standing off to the side of the event after finishing a meal. She was on the phone, and like my brother, I found a feeling of wrongness in my gut, so I wandered over to listen in. She was talking to her husband, Alice's stepfather, on the phone. She was saying what a great surprise it would be for Alice and how excited Alice would be to see her stepfather. I stepped into Helen's space and told her point blank that if that man showed up, he would be leaving with more holes than God intended. Helen scoffed off the threat until she saw the look in my eye. She told her husband that she would call him back before hanging up. She told me that she could invite her husband, and that after all, it was thanks to him that Alice met her future husband. That she would be so thrilled to have him walk her down the aisle instead of Alice's own father. It was only right after all. Who wouldn't want someone who abused them so badly they ran away and got rescued by strangers at their wedding? I looked over my shoulder and made eye contact with George. He sensed the trouble brewing and responded in the only way George ever responds. He brought her a fruity, sweet drink and asked her if there was any problems. She drank down the drink, and she told him her woes and how I was so cruel to her. He patted her on the arm and took her off to the side, where he proceeded to keep her glass full. I went and warned my uncle to shut the gate prior to the wedding, and when he found what was going on, he insisted that he keep one of his sons on the front gate just in case. The party was winding down as the bride and groom separated for the evening. George kept filling up the woman's glass, talking to her as if he was the most sympathetic person to her woes. The drunker Helen got, the more she spilled. She admitted everything about the sunflowers because they were such ugly flowers and her daughter didn't know any better. However, around drink number 4, she admitted that she had fixed the stupid cake she had seen in the fridge. George acted like he hated the cake as well, to get out what he could from her, and he found out that the woman actually wanted a coconut cake. The thing is, her daughter was allergic to it, like badly allergic to it. Turns out she bought a few tubs of coconut frosting from the store and spread it all over the cake layers. It was around 3 a.m. when the revelation came out. George kept piling her with drinks as he led her to the room that she was staying in. He told the family via text to check the cake immediately. Once he got her to bed, with the plan to let her just sleep through the morning wedding, she blabbed about how bland the food had looked and she had made it all better. And then she passed out without any further explanation. All the food was being inspected by my family as Aunt Rose, her husband, and the kids set to work with the siblings to fix everything. The cake needed to be remade. The poorly spread coconut frosting had completely ruined the cake. The family members were woken up while the bride and groom and the wedding party had been left alone to sleep. George said that he would keep an eye on Helen and fix things with her husband. He was going to send the man somewhere completely different from the wedding venue. The family came together with 12 cars leaving the ranch to go home for various replacements. There was a berry hunt at 4 a.m., new fish, new bread being made, and new order of steaks tenderizing and marinating, along with dozens of other things. One of my cousins was digging up new sweet potatoes while his wife and son gathered fresh eggs. Cars came and went all night. I told Alice her mother was sleeping off a hangover while she was getting dressed for the day, and she accepted it rather quickly. She had been told by some of her family members that she had to invite her. As she tugged her stockings up, she couldn't believe her wedding was here, and she was getting to marry her Prince Charming and Ron, and she was trying not to cry before getting her makeup done. Helen missed the wedding despite her sister and other daughter trying to wake her up for it. I'm glad to say that Alice was in the dark about what happened on her wedding day until she came back from her honeymoon. And who told her what Helen had done? Why, Helen herself, of course. Helen screamed at her daughter the first day she returned home from her honeymoon and told her how disappointed she was in the wedding that she had slept through. She wanted Alice to dress in her wedding dress and take photos with her mother and her stepfather. Ron put a stop to that real fast. No way was the stepfather coming near her ever again. Helen was blocked, and Alice tried to figure out what all happened at the event in the wee hours of the morning. We told her, with everyone coming forward with what they had done while the couple slept and rested up for their wedding day. Alice thanked us, and Ron told everyone at the next family get-together that she couldn't understand how we'd be so calm through it all. Aunt Rose told her that in a crisis you can't lose focus. Make a plan and follow through, and things will work out all right. Alice took that advice to heart. She's now a wedding planner, and she's the stone wall for the brides against mothers or any influence besides her husband. It is their day, and that's it. Everyone else can shut up and listen to the bride and groom. That's all the stories I have for today. Links to the original Reddit posts will be in the description box below. Please stop on by Reddit to show the OP some love and an upvote. If you enjoy my videos, please comment, like, share, and subscribe. Don't forget to hit the bell notification to let you know when I upload new videos. Thank you for watching, and have a wonderful day.